So a lot of policy now involves tech, right? In our industry, there's a lot of policy around vulnerabilities and security and privacy and data that have deep technological underpinnings. This is actually bigger than us. I mean, it happens in other industries too, but for us, policy is being made that affects us, affects our industry, affects computers, affects IT. And it's being made largely without a full knowledge of the technology. And I think we need a world where technologists and policymakers get together instead of talking past each other. So if you think of Apple versus the FBI, that was a big example of everybody talking past each other. And the issues of going dark, of vulnerabilities in the equities process, of, IoT security, whether it's driverless cars or medical devices or voting machines. All of these things need technologists involved in policy. And my worry is not that there's going to be no policy, but there's going to be bad policy. Policy will be done to us, and we'll have to fix it and deal with it rather than being there in the beginning. And this is an area where expertise is needed. And I know that we like to be standoffish. We like to do our thing. We don't want any government regulation. We know the government's getting involved. And that was great when the internet was new and didn't matter. But now that it's affecting the world in a direct physical manner, it does matter. Governments are getting involved, and we need to get involved too. I think it's a combination of each. I mean, a place to look is public interest law. In the 1970s, there was no such thing as public interest law. Right? Public interest organizations had no lawyers. Today, ACLU has a job offering, and they get 200 applications for a third of what you'd make working for a big law firm. 10% of Harvard law graduates go into public interest law. What percent of computer science graduates do? Probably negligible. So I think there's a call for people going in full time, but also going in part time, being an advisor, taking a year off and going to work at a congressional staff or in an NGO with a sabbatical, then moving in and out in your career. I think there's room for everybody. This is such a nascent area, and it's not like there's nothing. I mean, we could all name one person we know who does public interest technology, but it's not a viable career path for most of us, and it needs to be. So I think I'm calling for everything. So my belief is that IoT will be regulated, that when computers start killing people and damaging property, it's when government gets involved. And if you think about it, government has a pretty basic set of tools they can use. There's stuff they can use ex ante, before the fact, and that's the world of certifications, of licensing, of testing. Right, we're sitting here in the Moscone Center, and an architect had to be certified before they could design this. There are all sorts of building codes that had to be followed to build this, all before the fact. Right, that's because when this thing falls on our heads, it's really bad. Right? Or governments do things ex parte, which is after the fact. So that's fines, right? The FTC just fined Vizio a huge amount of money for deceptive trade practices. That's an example of that. So fines, liabilities, and torts is an example there. Then the government does stuff in the middle. So the idea is that transparency makes for smarter consumers. So think of labeling requirements as a regulation in the middle, or a, NTSB-like forensics agency that investigates plane crashes and publishes the results so designers can do a better job next time. Right, the last place governments can get involved is sort of in the process, and that can be funding research, that can be funding universities, education, and that could be using their own buying power. So that's the toolkit. And what we're likely to get, like you get everywhere, is a patchwork of different things. A little bit here, a little bit there, and it's not going to be perfect. I mean, this is regulation, right? There's a lot of problems with it, a lot of ways we get it wrong, but by and large, it's how we get safety and security in a lot of environments. It's how we got food safety, restaurant sanitation codes, it's how we got automobile safety or airplane safety. I mean, and it's how we're going to get computer safety. I mean, I'm not saying this is easy, and I've got the answer, but this is the area we need to look. Government's largely not been involved, and we need some kind of counterbalance to corporate power.